The WNBA draft ended on Monday, and it was full of surprises. Today I'll grade the teams and talk about the winners and losers of the draft. This is the most unique draft that the WNBA has ever had. It's not deep in terms of having a bunch of future stars, but it's deep in terms of quality rotation pieces, even in the later rounds. I think this year we will see a record number of second-round picks stay on rosters. The Dallas Wings selected Paige Bueckers with the first pick. She's someone that will make the team instantly better, and that alone would have made it a good draft for them. But they drafted more players as well. They were very aggressive in terms of building a backcourt. I was surprised that they drafted Isaiah James, but after thinking about it, it makes sense. Yes, Dallas is loaded with guards, but someone as talented as Isaiah falling to 12 is something Dallas had to take advantage of, regardless of fit. Arike is the perfect player for her to learn from, and this gives Dallas some insurance in case one of their guards gets hurt. Training camp is going to be insanely competitive in Dallas. It's going to be the survival of the fittest, but I think that's exactly what they were looking for. What stops me from giving Dallas an A+ is that they are so scarce at center. I don't know how they don't draft a player like Fagan to see if she's good enough to play with one of their later picks. Even someone like Rhea Marshall would have been good, because her offensive deficiencies doesn't matter on a team with so many scorers, but her defense could have been valuable. The Seattle Storm get an easy A+. They did the obvious thing, which was draft Dominique Malunga. She's one of the players you draft regardless of who else is on your team. She's simply too talented. Getting a 6'6" big with her mobility is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, which is why they shouldn't and didn't entertain anyone else. Getting Serena Sundell in the third round is highway robbery. I had Serena Sundell falling to the Atlanta Dream, which was a lot lower than what most mock drafts had her at, but she fell even lower than that. I knew GMs would have concerns about her athleticism and her low-volume three-point shooting, but being a 6'2" player with a really good mid-range, and being one of the best passers in the country in my eyes, made her way too valuable to not get in the second round. She's the basketball equivalent of Shedeur Sanders. Athletically challenged, but amazing arm talent and a very high IQ player. GMs must know something we don't, because I don't understand this at all. I don't know if she had a concerning medical report, maybe she had some secret off-the-court controversy or something, because this does not feel like a fully basketball decision. Not only do I think she makes the roster, I think she gives Seattle quality minutes. For the Mystics, I give them an A+. They did an amazing job with their picks. I really would have liked them to get Anissa Morrow because I believe she's the third best prospect in the draft, but I still give them A+ because they still got an incredibly good young core to build around. This is a case where the sum is greater than the individual parts. Sonia Citron was a no-brainer. She's one of the best wing shooters in the draft, and one of the few true two-way players on the board. She has a game that's perfect in the WNBA. She thrives with playing with a ball-dominant point guard that can also score, and that's exactly what they got with Georgia Amoore. Out of the remaining point guards left on the board, she played in the hardest conference, beat them in all in scoring, while being third in assists per game. Yes, she's undersized, but her shot creation far exceeds any of the remaining point guards. As I said in the previous video, the shorter guards that work out in the W are excellent passers who can also score. I didn't like the idea of Kiki and Aaliyah Edwards being on the same team, because they are so similar. But after thinking about it, iron could sharpen iron. Having them going against each other in practice will make both of them better, and considering the Mystics are clearly prioritizing player development, they can make it work. It's hard to say what they'll do with Zay Green, but there's an off chance she makes the roster even as a third-round pick. But what really does it for me is Lucy Olson. When I saw her fall past the Valkyries' second-round pick, it felt like a scripted fairy tale for her to end up in Indiana. But then they pass on her too, and she eventually ends up on the Mystics. This is a massive steal from the Mystics. I touched on this in a previous video, but I see a lot of Marina Mabrey and Lucy. They both fell in the second round. But when it's all said and done, Lucy will show people she is a first-round talent. It's funny because if you told someone that she could be a point guard in the WNBA, they would call you a crazy person. But she averaged more assists on less turnovers than Cheyenne Sellers, who was widely projected as a future Mystics point guard. And this was while being surrounded with way less talent than what Maryland was working with. One of the biggest advantages with Lucy is talked about the least. It's the fact she's only 21 years old, in a draft class full of 23 and 24-year-olds. By the time she gets that age, she'll have played multiple seasons professionally. I thought the Dallas Wings drafting J.C. Sheldon over Angel Reese last year was a horrible draft decision. even before Angel played a single game in the WNBA. But I think this is much worse. Passing up on Anissa is going to age terribly. She will end up having a much better career than anyone Golden State selected. Juste Usite is constantly compared to Leonie Phoebish, but I don't see that at all. Phoebish was the exception, not the rule. This isn't even specific to Usite, but overseas player skill sets become overrated just for the sole fact they are in a Europe league. If Yarden Garzon was selected with a high pick when she eventually declares a player who can pretty much do everything Usite can, everyone would call it a dumb pick. But because she plays in Euro Cup leagues, Usite is a can't-miss prospect. I'm sorry, but I don't buy it. This is not a Dominique Malunga situation where there's no one else that can do what she can. I don't like Sellers at Golden State either. I think she's a great fit on a team like Chicago or the Aces, where she has a ton of talent to work with. I don't like the idea of her going to a team where she's going to be near the top of the scouting report. She's a win-now piece, not someone who can carry the worst team in the league. Drafting Chen was a good moment, but when Harmony Turner is still on the board late in the draft, you can't make that decision. I'm very disappointed in the Valkyries. I'll still give them a C- because Juste Usite and Cheyenne have potential, but I don't like their draft haul at all. When Anissa Mora was announced that she was going to the Connecticut Sun, there was nothing they could have done afterwards for me to not give them an A. The absolute worst case scenario for Anissa is ending up like Dennis Rodman. If she develops a better jump shot, which is very realistic, she will easily be a multiple-time All-Star. I see the vision of Connecticut here. They are going for a similar type model as the Duke women's team. Load a team up with athletes who are versatile defensively and try score a lot of points in transition. That's why I think they got Sanaya Rivers, even though the fit seems a little weird. They're going to have to start calling the trio of Sheldon Rivers and Anissa the Seatbelt Sisters. This team is going to be disgusting defensively. And if Rhea Marshall ends up making the roster, throw her in that conversation too. The only reason I'm not giving them an A+ is because I really would have liked Isaiah James here. They badly need a scorer, especially with Marina Mabrey trying to force herself out. The LA Sparks had an amazing draft. I thought for sure they were going to get Haley Van Lith. It just made too much sense from a marketing standpoint. That would have boosted an already popular team through the roof. But they decided to make a fully basketball decision and get Sarah Ashley Barker. I love this pick. They badly needed a wing, and she's far and away the best wing they could have got at this draft position. She also helps defensively, an area they are going to be starving in. The fact that she has improved every single year is very promising. Sarah doesn't have to post Instagram workouts to show she puts in work in the offseason. The results show on the court. Fagan is an amazing pickup here. I'm very surprised Dallas didn't take her. The Sparks badly need more center depth, because I'll maintain my stance that Cameron Brink is not a WNBA 5. I think she has a pretty good chance of making the roster. Leo King is also interesting. It remains to be seen if she's tall enough to translate to the WNBA level, but why not take the risk with a third rounder? They have nothing to lose, and everything to gain in that situation. This is an easy A. What the Chicago Sky did was the definition of hustling backwards. They got rid of Kennedy Carter, one of the best scorers in the game. Then they trade the third pick away to get a worse scorer in Ariel Atkins. Then they trade their first round pick next year for someone that fulfills a similar role. If the goal is to maximize ticket sales, merchandise, and social media engagement, this is an A+ draft. But if the goal is to win as many games as possible, which is what I assume the Chicago Sky are trying to do, considering they inexplicably traded their first round pick next year and gave up the swap rights in the 2027 draft. This is crazy to me. The Sivka pick is alright. The upside is worth the potential risks involved when you have 3 other picks to get players after that. But for them to have all this pre-draft talk about getting tall wings that can also shoot, for Cheyenne Sellers to still be available and have a lot of her family in Chicago, and to pass up on her is an absolute joke. Yes, Haley was a better college player than Sellers, but in terms of what Chicago was missing and what they needed, Sellers is the clear no-brainer choice for them to take. And again, unless there's something about Serena Sundell that literally no one in the public knows about, not getting her is borderline malpractice. You couldn't ask for a better player to pair with Camila Cardoso. She could have been exactly what Raven Johnson was for her, but on the WNBA level. She somehow fell into their lap multiple times, but they literally just throw a pick away in Aisha Coulibaly. Even if you're of the opinion that Serena Sundell's game won't translate to the WNBA, it's ridiculous for Chicago to not at least try to see if it can work. The one pick I really like is Maddie Westbeld, so I'm going to at least give them a C. Last year I made a video talking about how she will be the steal of the draft, and I still have a strong belief in her as a WNBA player. I don't care about her stat line in her last year at Notre Dame. She wasn't healthy for a huge chunk of the season, and when she was forced to play the center position, which couldn't be a worse position for the type of skill set that she has. If Chicago misses the playoffs, and the Lynx ends up with Latson or Flaugier, I'm going to lose my mind. I don't want Cheryl Reeve anywhere near those players, but that's a topic for another day. The Aces selected Aaliyah Nye and Harmony Turner in this draft. I like Nye on this team. I think she can come in and fill in a similar role that Kate Martin had. But not getting Sellers is crazy to me. It's where I had her mocked to, because I thought it made the most sense fit-wise. I would have liked Sellers here 100 times more than Golden State. Aaliyah is someone they could have picked up later in training camp. They did not need to use the 13th pick to do it. Even if a team drafted her, I don't think they would have kept her on the roster, which means she would have been a free agent. Harmony Turner is amazing value at the 35th pick. It remains to be seen to see if her game will translate, but if there's any mid-major player to take a chance on, it's her. I think there's a decent chance she makes the roster, especially considering how bad the Aces need scoring. The Atlanta Dream selected Tahina Pau and Taylor Theory with their picks. I give this a B-. I like Pau going to Atlanta. If there's a roster she would make, it would be this one. She's the perfect fit for the Carl Smesko system, assuming he runs similar action he did at Florida Gulf Coast. But I would have loved Sundell here, and it's where I thought she was going to end up. I think she would have came in and been an instant upgrade over Haley Jones, but I can respect them giving Haley Jones another chance to prove herself under another system. If she doesn't improve year 3, I don't know if much can be done, to be honest. We'll see if Taylor Theory makes the roster. I'm not going to criticize Atlanta for this because their hands were tied with who they could get in the 3rd round. I give the Indiana Fever a B+. I really like the Michaela Timpson pick. I didn't think they would look at her because she's listed at 6'2", but someone with her athleticism, defense, and rebounding is a good person to bet on. The only thing I'm questionable about is how serious Indiana is about their picks. I would be shocked if Bree Hall stays on the roster. They signed Bree Turner and Jaylen Brown in free agency, so I don't know if they would really cut them so fast. I would have preferred them getting Destiny Adams over Yava Najim, but considering there's only one spot for grabs, it probably doesn't matter. There's 3 teams I have no grade for, which are the Lynx, Liberty, and Mercury. Anastasia is an intriguing prospect, but I don't know how serious Minnesota is about bringing her over. And the other picks were throwaways. The Liberty are in a similar situation, and the Mercury didn't have any picks at all. To wrap up this video, I'll go over some trends I noticed with the draft selections. We saw 3 guards under 5'10" drafted in the 1st round, and 2 big guards in Cheyenne Sellers and Serena Sundell fell in the draft. I would argue the 2023 draft has a lot to do with the shift in many GMs' mindset. We saw a lot of big guards taken in the 1st round, and all of them are either rotting on the bench or no longer with their current team. I would argue Diamond's case has more to do with injuries and being on a team that doesn't fit her, but in other cases, it just shows it takes a lot more to be a good WNBA player than just being 6 foot tall. I'll definitely go more in depth on this topic later. The obvious elephant in the room is Sedona Prince. No one drafted her. Her long list of injuries and her age will be brought up, but there was only one reason she wasn't drafted. If it wasn't for the allegations, someone would have got her. But the biggest thing I noticed is that most teams were actually intentional with their 2nd round picks. What usually happens is teams do exactly what the Lynx did. They'll do a draft and stash, then get random players they know won't make it past training camp. But teams like the Sparks, Mystics, and Atlanta actually address team needs. But that's it for this video. There will be a lot more draft content later in this month, and some college content as well. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.